The current human rights situation of Hong Kong fits Professor Gregory Stanton's 10-stage genocide model. Professor Gregory Stanton is founder of Genocide Watch. You know what? The current human rights situation of Hong Kong is so critical that it leads one to believe that Nazi China is determined to exterminate true Hong Kongers and to replace them with colonizers from China. The 10 stages of the model are as follows. Number 1, classification. Now, the 50-cent army of China calls Hong Kong people the offspring of Vietnamese boat refugees. The second stage is symbolization. Hong Kongers are divided into yellow ribbons versus blue ribbons. Yellow ribbons being anti-CCP people and blue ribbons being pro-CCP people or patriots, so-called. They are also divided into black-clad protesters and white-clad so-called patriots. The next stage is discrimination. Many dissidents are fired by organizations and institutions like Cathay, the airline, TVB, Metro Corporation, accounting firms, etc. and etc. Next stage, dehumanization. Just as Nazi China used to call the Jews rats, now the Hong Kong police and state-controlled media call Hong Kong dissidents cockroaches meant to be annihilated. Organizations, thugs are paid off to form militia, to assault protesters and even passers-by. For example, on the 21st of July, they attack passengers in the Yuen Long MTR station indiscriminately with rods and with sticks and with iron bars. And also, on the 1st of October, a pro-Beijing taxi driver drove his taxi into a crowd, knocked down 2 young women, permanently crippling one of them. Subsequently, the culprit was rewarded with 20,000 US, while the victims were charged with unlawful assembly. Next stage, polarization. Hong Kong Chief Executive Carrie Lam asks people to dissociate from rioters or protesters, and Beijing claims that Hong Kong dissidents are paid off by the CIA to create troubles. Preparation. The Hong Kong police and Beijing assert that Hong Kong protests smack of terrorism, and the Chief Executive Carrie Lam is prepared to call in PLA troops to do counter-terrorism works. Next stage, persecution. Now almost 2,400 protesters have been arrested, and an old concentration camp has been used to torture them, to gang rape them. This is no joking. Last night, a group of young students of the Chinese University of Hong Kong petitioned and complained in tears to the president of the university. Words to the effect that they have been subject to torture, sexual violence, and gang rape in the concentration camp in Sun Oak Lane. Both males and females have been sexually assaulted by the police there. Next stage, extermination. The Hong Kong police, since the 12th of June, have shot civilians indiscriminately in the head. They have used live rounds on teenagers. For example, 2 weeks ago, a policeman actually aimed at the heart of a teenager and shot him. The bullet, the live round, went through his lung, almost killing him. Numerous children have been brutally beaten up and arrested. More than 750 of them are under 18, and more than 100 of them are under 16. So they target the younger generation of Hong Kong and probably intend to wipe out the green generation of Hong Kong. There have also been mysterious suicides. People's bodies fell from high up buildings, and there have been numerous floating bodies on the sea. Oftentimes, there are no wills or testaments found, and invariably, the police claim that there's nothing suspicious. The rate of suicide has risen abruptly since August. The next stage, or the final stage, is denial. The Hong Kong police, with Carrie Lam and with Beijing's full support, always claims that they use the minimum force necessary to subdue the protesters. And they dismiss all accusations of police brutality as malicious bad-mouthing. In addition, on the 6th of October, Mr. Cyprus Parser, head of the AI organization, published an article in which he claims that they have received reliable, confidential reports that young women in Hong Kong have been tracked down by the CCP by means of the AI technology, that those young women and even young men have been caught, kidnapped, tortured, gang raped, murdered, and then thrown into the sea or thrown from high up some buildings. And then their bodies will be disguised as suicides. So Hong Kong is undergoing a humanitarian crisis. 2019 Hong Kong is 1939 Poland. Hong Kongers are like Jews in the Second World War. How about the solutions? Professor Gregory Stanton says that in such a humanitarian crisis, the UN should impose arms embargoes on the culprit governments and organizations, that the UN and other great powers in alliance should form an international armed intervention to stop the violence, to stop the genocide, to stop the ethnic cleansing. And if the culprit denies the anti-humanity crimes, then an international tribunal like the Nuremberg tribunal should be formed to penalize those culprits. Unfortunately, the UN is now controlled by China and Russia, so we plead with the US to lead other civilized countries to save Hong Kong from Nazi genocide. Thank you for watching. God bless.